Welcome back to day 2 of How to Survive the Great American Lockdown. How did you solve the problem? What? You didn't? Well, don't feel bad. Many of my students never solved it on the first day either. Before we look at some problem-solving strategies, let's review the problem. Here was the puzzle piece. You were to think of and draw a single solid object that would pass through each one of these holes and completely fill up the space so that no light passes through it. My students would start out thinking, how about if we made it out of Jell-O? If we made it out of Jell-O, then we could push the object through each one of these and push it through this one, and then finally push it through the third one. Well, there's a couple of problems with that. First of all, I don't know that we would classify Jell-O as a solid object. And second of all, when you push the Jell-O through, you would be changing the shape each time that you went through one of these holes, and that's not allowed. You're supposed to come up with one single solid object shape and not change it in between each hole, passing it through each hole. So that didn't work. Many times they would have this for a drawing. They would draw this shape right here. You can see it has the 3 shapes to it, and they would fit into this, but what happens when you got here, it wouldn't go completely through. And so that wouldn't work either. Now, I had this in my classroom. You don't have one of these at home, but I got to thinking, well, why couldn't you make one at home? You could make it out of cardboard, for instance, or any material that you have at home. And it doesn't have to be this size. It does have to be in proportion. And these are the proportions that you need to make it. The width of this trapezoid figure and the height of this triangle have to be the same measurement. And then the diameter of the circle, the height of this side of the trapezoid, the longer side of the trapezoid, and the measure of the base of the triangle all have to be the same measurement. Now, you could have all of those the same number, or you could have these 2 the same and these 3 the same. It makes no difference. You could make it as large as you want or small. If you make it larger, it would help younger children when they cut their shapes and try to pass them through there if it's a little bit larger. All right. So if you make that, then you can try different things, which leads us to our problem-solving strategies. Number 1, draw pictures or make models. You can have your child do that. They can come up with ideas on paper. You can cut them out. You can try to pass them through. So you're drawing pictures. You're putting down what they have in their mind on paper and then trying them. And then next, we have trial and error. And my students did this all the time. They would try something to see if it worked. Now, this problem with trial and error presents a little bit of frustration, and I think that's good with students, that they have a problem that's not so easy that they instantly solve it. Because look at our world today. We have this problem of COVID-19. Scientists, brilliant people, have been working on a medication or a drug that will cure people when they get this virus. They've been working on it now for many weeks, maybe even many months. But we don't have a solution yet. We don't have a drug that will do that. I also think of a vaccine. We have many, many people working on a vaccine, which is going to help us in the future. It's going to help our entire world that we don't have a repeat of this virus if we come up with a vaccine. Those are difficult problems. We don't solve them overnight. And that's kind of what I like about this little activity, is that students don't solve it overnight. They get a little frustrated with it, and that can be good. So they would try something and it didn't work. So I would tell them, don't get frustrated. Don't get angry with yourself. You learned something. You learned that that shape doesn't work. So don't try it again. Try something new. Try something different. And sometimes their frustration grew so much that they would come up and say, Mr. Potter, this is impossible. It can't be solved. And I would say, yes, it can be. And so you need sometimes to encourage your child, your student, that there is a solution and that we will get to the bottom of it. Just have a little patience. So I like those things about this activity that we have for us. Okay, so that leads us to the third strategy that I have up here, break the problem down. What do I mean by break the problem down? Break it into smaller segments, into smaller pieces. This is going to be your problem for tomorrow. You are to come up with one single solid object that will pass through the triangular hole and completely fill up the space so no light gets through. All right. You can draw pictures of it. You can make models of it. You can think about it. There is not just one solution, however. There are many solutions. And so I would challenge the older students, come up with as many solutions as you can. 3, 4, 5, or more solutions, and have those solutions for our session tomorrow. Thank you for joining me again, and tomorrow I will put another video on at 11 o'clock Central Time so that we can continue. We will solve this problem. Have patience. Thank you.